best of Starfleet. Our ability to work together, that's our greatest strength.
To start, because we're seeing Pike expand on his own in this show. We saw him in Discovery learn of his unfortunate future. So how do you think that shapes his approach in this series?
We decided early on that you can't really get into the nitty-gritty of this show unless you deal with that exact question. Instead of sort of answering it quickly and moving on or just sidestepping it, we really wanted to dive into the question of what seeing a very specific vision of your future, how that would affect you, not just as a person, but as someone who's in charge of the lives of hundreds of other people.
You are my balance. You always have been. And I am afraid that I will not find it again without you.
I would say the Spock that we are left with in Strange New Worlds after the journey we saw Spock go through in Discovery is more fragile. I think he had a lot of certainty before his experience of the Red Angel and before the loss of his sister to time. And I think at this point in time, he's not so certain and he's deeply searching. I think Spock inherently is a deeply searching figure. He's experimenting with how human to be, how Vulcan to be, and not having that many touchstones for either. I think Michael Burnham was a great teacher for him as a human and as a figure of integrity and as a leader. She taught him so much, but now she's gone. And so I think really in Captain Pike, Spock really searches for what is human. And I think Captain Pike makes a really great example for him.
I have a real admiration for Ethan as a young man. He's so much farther ahead, developing his sense of himself than I was at that age. It's been fun letting that relationship, that friendship kind of bleed over into the portrayal.
And one of the most human things is having a romantic relationship. What was it like to, kind of touch on this side that doesn't get explored very much?
It was really kind of scary exploring that because there wasn't much of a blueprint for that. We've seen a little bit of romance in Spock's life, but not to the level that we explore in Strange New Worlds. There's a lot of collaboration between myself and with Gia Sandhu, of course, who plays T'Pring, and the forces behind the camera. There's a lot of dialogue of what's appropriate and what's Vulcan enough, what's too human. And for Spock, I would say he's just kind of figuring it out as he goes along because he's been so ashamed of his human half for such a long period of his life. And I think A, becoming a part of Starfleet, and B, being formally rejected by his father and sort of from his family on Vulcan, he has to explore his human side. It is who he is. And this sort of romantic part of him is part of that exploration and that discovery.
Captain, plans A and B didn't work. We're now into the Hail Mary part of the operation.
Rewinding way back to the original rejected pilot of Star Trek, which is where they first introduced number one, played by Majel Barrett Roddenberry. She was pretty much a blank slate. And we just saw her being very good at her job, dealing with the task at hand. We know from Discovery that she's very, very good at her job. But we've been given this incredible opportunity to flesh out this character who now has a name, Una Chin Riley. We see her being very good at her job, but we also see her having a little bit of fun. We see her actually developing into a character. There's also a development in the third episode, which we'll learn about, which sort of speaks to why she's so good at her job. She's very meticulous and very fastidious and also keeps her distance from people because she's hiding something.
I think that Pike has known number one for a long time. I think they were very possibly in school together.
I love this job.
We're best friends. We're almost like exes who can see straight through each other. Like we can really read each other.
She's that friend you can have of the opposite gender that can give you insight to things about yourself and other people that a member of the same gender usually can't. She's also a tremendous leader in her own right.
Maybe we don't touch anything else. Just a suggestion.
I think the thing that people were like really keeping an eye out for was that I chopped off all of her hair. I think something that was incredible with Nichelle Uhura and Zoe Uhura was that they had like the epitome of what Black femininity was at the time. And so in the 60s, that like classic beehive was so iconic. In the 2009 with extension culture and women growing out their hair, the idea of like straight back was perfect for 2009. And now we're in 2020. And I just think the iconic short Caesar cut has been a thing for Black men for a long time, but we are slowly but surely as a community getting closer and closer to like widening the ideals of what Black femininity looks like. And so having an opportunity to take this iconic character and still have her have this layer of incredible grace, and to have that and also have her have this incredibly gorgeous shortcut look, it feels so right. Even with the Dora Milaje and Black Panther, their femininity was never questioned, but they all had real shortcuts. And I am someone who is like craving to be a part of the representation I want to see in the world. And so it was very important to me to not put a wig on, to not have really long, straight, big curly hair, because I can have a beehive, or I could have hair down my back, or I could have no hair and rock a ball cap, and I would still be the incredibly iconic feminine embodiment of Uhura that I think everyone is really excited to see.
How did you settle upon the cut, style, and length? Did you have bang fittings like you would wardrobe?
Great question. And as Rebecca affectionately refers to them, my baby bangs. Yeah, there was a lot of deliberation over how they should look, how long they should be. But mostly I think it was just sort of like, what's the impression that we have of the original Spock? Let's not copy it because, I can't really be Leonard Nimoy. I'm not Leonard Nimoy. What does Spock feel like on Ethan Peck? I think was more the conversation and focus of that journey.
We saw in the trailer, at least, that he's bearded at one point. Were you disappointed that he had to eventually shave the beard?
No, I was disappointed I had to grow my pandemic beard back. It's fine, but you go through that itchy phase, and then you go through that hot phase, and then you go through the phase of it just looks terrible and you want to be done with it. No, it was fine. It was great to start him in a completely different look.
Nurse Chapel was more of a supporting character in the original series. It's been a lovely creative challenge of honoring that and recognizing the bones of Major's Chapel, and then having a lot of license to kind of explore and expand on who she is in a 2021 world, who she is when she's a little younger, how does that change her energy. Chapel from Strange New Worlds is insatiably curious. She has a real lust for life and a deep care for the people around her. She shoots straight from the hip. You know exactly where you stand with her. She's no bullshit.
Dr. Mbenga is a man that's warm-hearted. He tries to do the right thing as much as possible, even at great cost to himself at times. It's definitely an honor to be able to, give life to this character that unfortunately back then didn't have that opportunity. It's been more about really just crafting something anew.
I play Lieutenant Laan Union Singh, who is the Chief Security Officer. And what's interesting, actually, one of the writers was telling me that this is the first Chief of Security since, I think there's only been one other, is it Tasha Yar? But she wasn't very fully developed to be able to be the Chief of Security, and to have that kind of kick-ass role as a woman is really amazing to play. Although she does have that side to her, like the combat, the war, natural war leader. Those kind of abilities are descendant, I think, from Khan, that kind of brilliance. She's formidable as he was. We don't know yet how much more she is passed down to her. Whether or not the enhanced genetic abilities are passed down to her or not, we can't say. But she definitely is very different to him emotionally in the way that she has an underlying vulnerability, which she hides with her kind of stern demeanor on the outside in order to live and survive her past traumas.
Una did save Laan at one point in her life, came to her rescue, and Laan has become kind of like a protege. So Una adores her. I'm not sure the feeling is always mutual, but she's very protective of Laan.
Our mission: to chart the stars.
Because the show is episodic, we're going on new adventures, meeting new aliens and new life. So is there anything you're excited, any major episodes coming up that you're really, really excited for fans to see?
One of the exciting things about the original series, watching it when I was a kid, every night, Sunday night, 6 o'clock, Channel 13, was this built-in sense of excitement, because you never knew not just where the episode would end up, you never knew where the episode would begin. And we really wanted to get ourselves out of the way a little bit and allow the big idea of the week to have room to live and breathe in every episode. So we've definitely attacked storyline like that. Every episode is a standalone And we've also been encouraging our directors to come in with very strong visions of how they want to shoot it, what they want it to look like, even in terms of genre. So we've been having a lot of fun playing around in that sense.